Monitoring crops such as canola during flowering can help avoid yield losses from late season pests such as aphids and caterpillars. The damage they can cause includes flower drop in the case of aphids, while caterpillars can feed on flowers. Svetlana Micic, entomologist with the WA Department of Agriculture and Food, explains how to monitor for caterpillars.
For caterpillars, what we'd use is a sweep net because it's very difficult to find caterpillars in a crop. All of the thresholds from the Department of Agriculture and Food are based on sweep nets because it's the easiest way to find caterpillars in a crop. The way we use a sweep net is we hold it at a 45-degree angle to the crop and sweep in an arc in an S shape. We take one sweep per stride, and you try and take strides that are a metre apart and 10 strides in the spot that you're sweep netting. At the end of the sweep net, what you do want to do is to flip the net so that the contents doesn't escape, so any flying insects don't come out and the caterpillars also don't come out. Once you finish sweep netting, you do need to empty the contents onto a light background. A white tray, a white bonnet of a car, a white ice cream container are the best because that way you can identify what the contents in the sweep net is, and you'll also be able to see more readily any flying insects. Once you empty the sweep net out, you can actually see what the stage of the caterpillars are. So if the caterpillars are all little, you know that the population is increasing. If the caterpillars are quite large, you know that the population is probably getting ready to pupate. It also gives you an indication as to how big the population is. And you can also then determine whether you need to spray or not in relation to the crop stage. So for instance, if the canola crop is close to being swathed, diamondback moth caterpillars don't do damage to a swathed crop, so surface feeding to the pods doesn't cause yield loss. However, if you have got a lot of native budworm in your crop, even after swathing, native budworm can still feed on the pods.
Aphids in flowering canola are another pest Svetlana Micic recommends keeping an eye out for, particularly if the crop is stressed.
We know that aphids cause yield loss in canola when canola crops are stressed because the warmer the conditions are, the quicker the aphid populations do build up. It's a good idea to monitor canola crops from flowering for aphids, and the way we do that is to look at the number of aphids on flowering spikes, and you're looking for aphid colonies that are 2 centimetres or more. Recent research has found that cabbage aphids especially tend to colonise the edges of canola crops, so we recommend that you actually look at where canola crops are next to weeds or next to wild radish or roadsides where there's a lot of weeds or contour banks, and concentrate in those areas. We know that the cabbage aphids tend to colonise up to about 30 metres of the crop edge, so that's the area to actually look at. And also, if you can walk in a bit further than that in a W pattern, it will give you an indication of whether or not it's just an edge effect that you're seeing the aphids in, or whether it's the entire paddock. If it's just an edge effect, all you need to do is a border spray. When you find aphids, you're actually looking to see what stage the aphids are at. If there's a lot of winged aphids in the colony, that means the colony is looking to move on. If there is a lot of aphids which are bloated and silvery in colour, it means there's a lot of parasitism, so the aphid population isn't as healthy as it could be. It's also a good idea to monitor over a period of time before deciding to spray. For further information on thresholds for caterpillar and aphid pests, it's a good idea to visit the My Crop website or the Department of Agriculture website.